How else might you use image trace? Well, sometimes you might get a client that has a logo or some other piece of artwork that it only exists on paper or as a pixel-based file. If it's something that was previously printed and they have no digital file for it, you might have to scan it and then it would be pixels and then convert it to vectors. This happens with logos sometimes. I do a lot of work for someone in the specialty business who produces pens, travel mugs, t-shirts, scarves, golf umbrellas, all kinds of things that would have an imprint of a corporation's logo. And sometimes the clients give her pixel-based files for their logo and they don't know any better. They don't understand digital file formats. So she gives it to me and I convert it to vectors. And I use image trace to do that. I can give you an example. This is the Dunkin Donuts logo, and I chose that probably because when I teach at 623 South Wabash, there's a Dunkin Donuts across the street, and I get coffee and a donut every morning in there when I'm teaching downtown. I had to do this once years ago for a client. There are websites that have authorized corporate logos for a variety of corporations where if you have to do something with, say, a Dunkin Donuts logo, they would rather that you went to the website that offers all of these corporate logos and download an authorized copy rather than try to draw it yourself. This wasn't available when I had to do this one. So this is a pixel-based file. As you can see, that's an embedded, probably a JPEG, and this is the end result. If you have an image selected, image trace is going to show up in your control panel. And this looks to me like 3 colors, so I would set this for probably 4 colors, including white. Actually, this one was done as 3 colors. 4 colors, including white, could be printed as a 2-color, which this one was. I'm just going to use the default settings and see what I get. Let's see what tracing result with outlines looks like. Zoom in some, and that seems fairly accurate. Let me look at just the source image. I see some discrepancies in there. So let me try tracing result with outlines. And if I want less corners, I wonder if it would get smoother. I see a little loss right in there. Of course, I could manually adjust that. I'm going to ignore white so that this drops out. And let's see, try 3 colors. It's going to be 4 colors. 4 colors. I'm going to go high so it gets more accuracy in the path. There's still a little loss in there, but I can fix that. And I'll expand that. And so there's a Dunkin Donuts logo right in here. Just to take that 1 anchor point and bring it up here. Probably about there. I have to make sure that snap isn't turned on. I don't see it because sometimes that'll jerk it to someplace you don't want it. I'm going to Command Z undo all of that and just go back and look at the original again. Okay, I think that little bump in the coffee is an error also. I'll expand that again and go into here right there. I believe this is inconsistent with the original. My anchor point tool, click on that, drag out handles, and that might be about right. I think this one probably needs to go up just a little bit, and this needs to be up about here. So that's a converted Dunkin Donuts logo. Now the font is actually something called Frankfurter, which I suppose is odd for a donut logo, but if you had to recreate something like this and you could identify the actual font used, it's probably better to use that font rather than rely on an image trace of it. Although Frankfurter, because of the nature of the font, that seems to work fairly well. I'm going to just get rid of this. These are from previous year's demos. I'm going to drop that down there. I'm going to paste back in a copy of that original logo. I'm not exactly sure why my coffee came out coffee colored here, but if I needed to fix that, I could go in isolation mode and select all of these elements and just copy that orange color. Another little flaw in here. So this is probably why, if I was doing this commercially, I would, that may have been a screen anomaly I was looking at, because it looks okay. But if I had to do this commercially, I would rely on the actual font rather than a trace of the font. Although, as I said, for Frankfurter, it traces pretty well. But you would do this when you can't find an authorized copy of the logo. If you can get an authorized copy of a logo, it's always better. Or perhaps someone has drawn a logo on paper or done it in Photoshop, so you've got either a scan or a Photoshop pixel-based file where you have to convert it to vectors so that you have a logo that is infinitely scalable. A pixel-based image is size specific, and for a given number of pixels, you have a given resolution which is appropriate for a given application. But vector-based art is infinitely scalable. I can scale this thing down to where it will fit on a ballpoint pen, or I can scale it up where it would be perfectly sharp and clear on a billboard. I encourage you to explore converting graphics that you have in print or as pixels to vectors using image trace. Try a few of them. You may need that skill someday.